Okay, let me start out by apologizing for a few things. One, this might be crooked despite me trying to make it level. I actually had to prop my tripod up with books. Um, Another thing is you might sometimes get light hitting my face and kind of blurring everything. There is a window up there, and even though I have a piece of stained glass to try to diffuse the light, it's not quite big enough to diffuse it all. But normally when I film in my bedroom, film YouTube videos on my bedroom. Film sitting on the bed. But I thought this was such a serious topic that I better stand up for this. And for those who haven't seen this shirt, if you're wondering what the rest of it says vaccines work, GMOs are safe, everything is a chemical. And if you want to know where you can get one, you can find them on Amazon. Alright, that being said, apparently, November, besides being novel writing month and something that I shouldn't say on YouTube that has to do with certain solo adult activities, is also No Nuance November, in which we speak our minds, which, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I don't have a problem with speaking my mind any month of the year. I do try to hold back at work for obvious reasons, and when I'm around my mom because it embarrasses her, but any other time, I'm just going to say it. And this is a subject that comes up more often than you might think, especially for somebody like me who doesn't have and doesn't want children. And probably the best example I can point out of this coming up is in the comments section of one of Mike Javon's. If you don't know him, he's a guy from the UK, English guy, who does these week-on videos, and sometimes his wife Grace will be in them with him too. He also does movie reviews. He used to be part of the now defunct channel Awesome, but he does like videos where he'll do a week on certain diets, and he did a week on parenting, in which he got one of those robot babies where you have to stick a key in the slot, and he and his wife tried that. And I jokingly said in the comments, come to the child free by choice side, and this set a woman off. She's like, yeah, you're going to miss out on milky breath and cuddles and everything. Like parenthood is some great big adventure and not a money and time suck. And I had said to her in the comments that there's always adoption if they really want to be parents, so they can adopt an older child. And that just set her off, and I finally had to block her because she was so disgusting and so vile. But the problem is this comes up quite often. So let me just flat out say it. If you're one of those people that think adopted children don't count and adopted families aren't real families, you're disgusting and I hate you. You're not only putting down every couple or single person who has adopted a child. There's an estimated 35 million orphans. There's probably more than that. An estimated 35 million orphans on this planet of over 7 billion people. Children that are just longing for a loving family that will choose them. So you're not only insulting every person who's taken in one of those 35 million orphans or more and loved them unconditionally and raised them, but you're putting down step-parents who step up to the plate when the biological parent is either dead or a deadbeat. All right? Like, for instance, my father. You see, my mother was married before, and her first husband used to get drunk and beat the crap out of her. And then one day he abandoned her and the 3 sons he helped create for an 18-year-old. He never paid child support. He never tried to visit. He never tried to contact those boys in any way. My older brothers. And then my father came along. And he fell in love with my mom. And he stepped up to the plate. He married her. He adopted my brothers. And he supported them both financially and emotionally in ways that their biological father never would. He paid for their medicines when they were sick and their doctoring when they were sick. He kissed their boo-boos. He took them to their after-school events. He helped them with their homework. He was there for them to cry on his shoulder when they were being bullied or dumped by a girl. He was there for all those things a real parent of any gender should be there for their child. And you're going to tell me that because he adopted them and he's not biologically related, that it doesn't count and they're not his real kids? It counts. He is their real father, not the sperm donor. He is their real father. He didn't magically become a parent when I was born just because I'm biologically related to him. No, he became a parent the second that he showed my brothers the love that their sperm donor never would. Ever. Because, guess what? That sperm donor had other kids that he probably didn't care for, and they contacted my brothers at one point, and my oldest brother actually went to go meet his biological father, and you know what happened? He stole from my brother, my oldest brother, to go buy himself beer. Does that sound like something a real father would do? Adopted kids are real kids. Adopted parents are real parents. It doesn't matter whether the child is not biologically related to any of the parents or the child it's a step-parent situation. It's still real parenthood, real children. And don't sit there and say to me, oh, adopted children have problems. They're all going to grow up to be serial killers. Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee cannibal, the man who murdered and ate men, was raised by his biological parents. Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, one of the most successful fast food chains in America, he was adopted. And you're going to sit there and tell me that adopted children all have problems and they're all going to grow up bad? Having a biological child does not mean that your child won't grow up to be the next Adolf Hitler. Even if you try to raise them not to be. Because I have known children, growing up personally, I have known kids that went in completely different directions from their parents. I have known children of atheists who basically became fundamentalist Christians. I have known kids of Democrats who became Republicans and kids of Republicans who became Democrats. I know kids of racists who grew up to support Black Lives Matter. So just because you raise somebody biologically doesn't mean, if somebody's related to you biologically, doesn't mean they're going to grow up exactly what you think they're going to be. They might grow up to be a better person than you, or they might grow up to be a vicious cannibal serial killer. The whole subject just disgusts me, to sit there and say that adopted children don't count, that it's not real parenthood. I think the only thing more vile than somebody who says that is a person who chooses not to vaccinate their kids for some stupid reason. It's if your child is immunocompromised, obviously you're not going to vaccinate. If your child has cancer, obviously you're not going to vaccinate. But if you're not going to vaccinate because you believe the lies, the 100 billion% falsehoods that there are heavy metals and fetal DNA and that vaccines cause autism, or this really, really, really stupid one that there are microchips in vaccines, there's no microchips in vaccines. You don't need a vaccine to track people's every movement. You got a cell phone. That already tracks your every movement. If you won't vaccinate for any of those reasons, you're not a real parent. Period. Because you don't love your children enough to make them grow up to be adults. You don't want to see them healthy and happy. You want to see them die of measles and chicken pox. And when the coronavirus vaccine comes out, if you don't get it, you are breaking the whole thou shalt not kill, because you're going to kill people. So that's the only thing worse than a person who says that adopted children don't count, is people that are actively trying to murder their children via measles. Yes. So, now, there's my YouTube post for No Nuance November. It seems to be mostly a TikTok thing, which if you're going to come in here and bash TikTok, please shut up and go away, because I love TikTok. It's the only thing that has kept me sane during quarantine with all the cosplay that I do on there. All right? It's a lot more than just 12-year-olds dancing to songs that they shouldn't even be listening to. You're not even supposed to be on there if you're 12. The minimum age is 13. But that's beside the point. TikTok is great. No, they are not tracing selling our information to China. That's just a racist thought, period. It's already been disproven, but don't come in here and bash TikTok. And definitely don't come in here and bash people that are pro-vaccine and people that are pro-adoption. Because adopted children are real children. And it is a real family. And it does count. It does count. Okay? Honestly, some people out there are just, they shouldn't be parents. They shouldn't. And this woman, if she has kids, I pray that those kids grow up to disown her. The one that said these comments to me. In fact, anybody out there who thinks adoption doesn't count and that adopted children aren't real children, I hope your kids grow up to disown you. And I hope they adopt many, many children. And those of you who don't vaccinate your kids, if your children make it to their 18th birthday, I hope that they do for themselves what you won't do for them, and love themselves enough to get vaccinated, and also never speak to you again. 'Cause you're a toxic person, you're a toxic person. And that is my post on YouTube for No Nuance November.